Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nintendo 64 episode of Dissonant Waves. We are indeed on episode 64. Everyone's having a good time tonight, this morning, whatever time of day it
Yes.
is where you are.
on
I'm Dominic.
on behalf of Australia and after the reviews have come in from Fantano, I'd like to apologize for the Tones and I album that's come out. I felt like I had to start the episode with this because we're kind of talking about it. I would like to point out that I will not be doing an LSD type of situation, and we will not be covering that episode unless Trix manages to piss me off again.
My idea is that this episode is
There are
already
your
called
warnings.
Ween is Punishment, so...
Yeah. There are your warnings, lads. And lass, I guess.
Okay.
I keep forgetting that lads is like a gendered term, and I just keep using it gender neutrally.
It's fine as long as it's not really like malicious. That's my whole thing.
Nah. I've always associated it because I've always just called women lads as well. I don't know, I hate the word lass.
But alas...
I forgot what podcast we're doing, by the way.
Dissonant Waves.
Ah, that's right. This isn't the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping we could do my favorite murder this week, but
Nah.
we're sticking with Dissonant Waves.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I won this week, so that's a murder right there.
Oh yeah.
I still don't
Speaking
know.
of Win, Dominic did of Montreal's Skeletal Lamping. I did Ty Segall Band's Slaughterhouse, and fucking Callum did, or Ritz did, Ween's Chocolate and Cheese.
Now I might be fucking up my just my hearing here, but I felt like you were about to say a T there. I think you were about to call me Trix somehow.
I was trying to go between like for some reason my mind defaulted to like Callum, but then I'm like the last second I'm like, oh Ritz, and I said Callum anyways. So my bad.
It's critical hits.
Yeah. Well, what do we want to start with?
Well, let's talk
do we
about the
wanna
album with
go
the
with-
least personality.
So dear Ty Segall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look,
Trix, I get that you like lo-fi garage rock. It's not a personality.
yeah,
This album's fun, okay?
I am not against bringing Ty Segall onto this podcast. I may have ideas about doing it myself at some point, but this is not the album.
I didn't hate it. Like I never really got into Ty Segall. I never hated Ty Segall's work. I just never really got into it. I tried to get into him a couple years ago when I was massively into Waves, and now I'm not so much into Waves, and it unfortunately hasn't boosted my Ty Segall listens. It's not like this is a bad album. I think they're having fun. You can tell that they're having fun. That cover towards the end of it's like a bit weird, but again, they're having fun doing it.
Yeah, both covers.
OC's was more interesting.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And the 10 minutes of fuzz was just boring at the end.
I will also give you that one too. But I thought this was like a good place to start because it's not really his strongest work. Because probably most well-known album is Melted, and it's got like a song off of that is on like 21 Jump Street. But
and the song off here is in GTA 5.
I thought that, yeah, which brings another album I've covered on the podcast without learning that it was in GTA 5 until after I started listening to it. First one being The Dream by OC's, funnily enough.
What you were saying?
But yeah, I think it's a good place to start. It's a fun album, and I can understand why it didn't quite go over perfectly, but like I think it's fun and I enjoy it.
It's fun. It's like, again, this isn't bad album. It's just not that interesting really to talk about just on my end, and it's something that I noticed happens quite a lot with picks that you have that especially in this genre, is that yeah, they can be fun listens to, and if you're really massively into it, it's or to the genre, I mean, stuff like this hits a lot harder. But when you're kind of just like a bystander to it, like me and at points Dominic, it's just stuff that's just there. I can tell that it's like impressive. I probably couldn't make this music even if I had actual music theory and guitar experience.
Oh, there is like no music theory on this album at all. Just
I was more just
It-
kind of like pinning myself down and insulting myself more than I was complimenting the album. But
Yeah, fair enough. But
point being is that stuff like this is just an absolute blender for me. I couldn't really get into this as much as I wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't like want to be a dick, but I will be. You're shit at picking music, and you should feel bad. No, I'm just kidding.
I got a banger pick next week, but you can thank my father for that.
You
one.
said that before.
Yeah.
I think you said that for this
for
this album. You said it was going to be a banger.
I
wait.
Again, I like this album, but
I can't wait for Trix's banger pick next week. Are we men? No, we are Devo.
okay, I fucking love Devo, but Devo is not my pick next week.
Yeah. If you ask me right now, I've got no track list in front of me to name a single one of those songs on Slaughterhouse. If Slaughterhouse is a track on there, if there's a title track, I'm just gonna guess Slaughterhouse. I can't tell you any of the song titles, and even if you put them out in front of me, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
There's not a song called Slaughterhouse on it.
Yep.
Yes, there is.
Oh, there is? Shit.
The third track.
Apparently, Trix can't either.
fuck.
Fuck.
It's been a long day. I drove for 5 hours yesterday and then slept for like 5 hours and then woke up and did the podcast, so
No excuse to
a
fuck
bit
up
out
the
of
pick.
it.
I worked for 12 hours, tried to fall asleep, fell asleep, got woken up for the podcast.
I didn't have to work today because it's a weekend. Get fucked, America.
Wish I could take those weekends.
I almost cried in front of my family yesterday, but that is a story for another day.
That's a story for another time. Look, it's kind of just hard to talk about this album, and I want to talk about it more. Like, I hate when I just go, yeah, this album just existed. But that's just kind of what it is for me. This is one of those ones where it'll be on my last FM showing that I've listened to it twice in this random week in 2021, and it will probably have no other plays ever again. I got no intentions to go back to this. I don't see a single situation in which I go back to this, unless every other Ty Segall album seems to blow me out of the water. And I'm like, yes, go back to Slaughterhouse.
The problem for me is that the band is competent enough, and they can make a good track if they want to, but all the personality gets thrown into like the covers, like Diddy What Diddy, and even the Bad Guy Men were the most interesting songs to me because they felt like they had something going on there. There was like a beat that I could get into. There was like instrumentation that I was genuinely interested in for the most part, but they were covers. So when they were covering someone else, they're just fine, but for themselves, nothing doing here. That 3 days they took to record this album, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a waste, but they could have tried it maybe a little harder.
Fair enough. I think there's a lot of fun stuff here.
Like what?
I really fucking enjoy Muscle Man. I think that song, just like, if you put that song on like a SpongeBob episode, it wouldn't be out of place, if you ask me.
Yeah, but you could put like 50% of
You
all songs into a SpongeBob episode, especially classic SpongeBob, and it wouldn't feel out of place. So it's not like a big achievement anymore.
You could put chocolate and cheese on a SpongeBob episode.
Yeah,
That'd be way more fitting.
Yeah, like I feel like Muscle Man fits like kind of like the Weenie Hut Jr. episode. I'd think.
Like, I'm looking at my notes just to get something out of this, and you know, it's like a lot of the notes are like, okay, this sounds kind of nice. This might be fun to see live, and then you know, yeah, it's kind of surfy. That's kind of cool. It's like I'm really struggling to find even things to write down. I feel like. Like the rhythm and the bass on "Tell Me What's Inside Your Heart" seemed to save that song for me at the time. But like even now, I don't remember a lot of these songs.
It's an album that just exists. That's like the review I can give it.
If you're into the genre, I think it sticks out more.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, but I don't know. It's like when it comes to garage rock, especially with the lo-fi, it just has to like really hit hard for me to be interested in it. Like it took a while for me to get into Slift, and I'm really only into Umon. King Giz wasn't really lo-fi, but when they did garage rock, that at least felt a lot more interesting and hit a lot harder. And there was stuff that you picked before, like Hux On and Going On With This, and I don't know, it's just not that interesting to me.
I think.
I wasn't really that interested in Huxon, and it's kind of like the reasons why.
At least the
I
backstory of
will
that was more
abstain from
interesting.
picking lo-fi garage rock for a bit.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I can do that. I got. Well, wait. Would stuff like Petite League count as like lo-fi garage rock? Because I've got something
Let-
planned that might fall into this line. It's not like
Oh,
psychedelic or anything, but
Well, the thing is, there's garage rock and then there's garage rock, right? Like
yeah.
the Lucas Skooka stuff is definitely garage rock because that's like partially recorded in a garage, like for real, right? And then there's things that evoke the garage
Yeah.
sound that are more, professionally done, where it's like this has the like it was done in 3 days. They just recorded it, in a studio, but they kept that lo-fi feel. So
yeah,
it's like, what are you really asking,
And then there's UK Garage, which is
Yeah.
completely different.
indeed.
I don't
Well,
know.
I got this one thing planned. It's less professional garage rock, more original garage rock. So
And I feel like what really kind of cements this album as just number 3 for me this week is the fact that we're like talking about everything else but the album now. We just drifted off that quickly from it.
As the line goes in Diddy What Diddy, or at least from what they say, who fucking cares?
Mm.
And then
That's
he
like
says,
the only moment of this album I can remember, and that's where like Dawa Diddy or Dabba Diddy, Dabba Doobie, Biba Doobie.
and then he says, "Fuck this fucking song," and I'm like, why did you cover it then?
I know, it's like the weirdest moment.
Like they're just fucking around like a Skeletubbies moment when they covered 500 Miles. It's like at least they were kids who were just having fun with their friends, and this was
I think it matters that they're kids, and I don't mind that they're having fun. And when you take it as just a bunch of or just lo-fi jammers having fun, it's a little bit better of an album. I don't know. I don't hate any of these moments. I just don't really care for them.
yeah, this is the only album that wasn't entirely written by Segall himself.
Also, I saw some
So
comparisons
that might have something to do with it.
where people say Seagal's voice sounds like John Lennon, and I kind of see it. Or I
Yeah,
hear it, I guess. Whereas that Imagine cover, say fuck this fucking song after Imagine? Come on, Ty Segall.
a psychedelic cover of fucking Imagine would be ridiculous.
And then as far as album ending tracks that go on for 10 minutes and are just noise, Fuzz War is not as bad as like a Death Sex, but it is not as interesting as Priestess or Swallowing a Donkey's Eye.
Yes.
I
Wait.
mean, I have my complaints about Pre-Sisters myself, though.
I'm not saying perfect tracks by any means, but Priestess is at least more interesting.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But if we stay on the track that we're on, I'm going to have another album that will do this even more so. So we'll get there when we get there.
Oh boy.
Get ready for some atmospheric, just things happening.
I don't have a favorite from this album.
My
Fuzz War is
favorite.
my least favorite. That's where I'm ending this.
What was your least favorite?
Fuzz War.
Yes. I don't really have a favorite or least favorite. I just think that Diddy What Diddy and The Bag I'm In were the most interesting songs because they had personality.
I think this album is just fun, but I always skip Fuzz War. So they're all kind of like my favorite, but like Fuzz War is just like, eh.
Well, before we head on to the next one, I said I was going to go slowly reveal albums that I made, both Trix and Dominic or pick for next week based off a couple of phrases that I had there. So there were 6 in total. I'm just gonna reveal the ones as I reveal the album. So the first 2 that I'm gonna reveal is 40 minutes of good music. Alright, maybe that cover drags on a bit, but still. And that's actually Alt J's Relaxer that you did not pick. That one had a cover of House of the Rising Sun, which my dad would always, when that album came out, he goes, people should just do what Alt J does, 40 minutes of good music, and then like immediately after that he'll go, without even me saying anything, he'll go, all right, maybe the cover of House of the Rising Sun's a bit slow.
We'll do that on the episode when we do the second Adolescence album where they also cover House of the Rising Sun.
And the
I have to find another cover of that.
And the next one I'm going to reveal is the last album we've agreed on, and that one came out last year. and that was Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher. So those are the
Interesting.
two first albums that you have both skipped on.
I'm happy with my choice so far. Then
Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop.
Tricks you turn into a robot. Yeah.
Sorry.
That was actually pretty good. That one. I don't know what the fuck she said, but that was pretty cool. Look, I
I
think
shouted sorry into
There we go.
the mic.
I shout
no,
sorry into
as
the
much
mic
as
to breathe in.
as much as I would love to pretend there's a very clear cut, well, not a clear cut, sorry, a very tight race for number one. I know that there kind of isn't here, so we'll just go with the one that I know you two have picked as number two, for Tricks number three, and that would be Ween's Chocolate and Cheese. I think we should go through next.
Pretty decent album.
Yeah, I don't love this as much as I love the Mollusk. Like, there are definitely moments in this album that could be a little bit cleaned up, but my god, there was just some absolutely memorable moments on this album.
Oh yes.
From the opening, "Take Me Away," which it's really hard. People forget that it's really hard to fake having a live audience in a studio song and it not being cringy.
Yeah.
"Take Me Away" is like a kind of whole parody of this whole kind of like kind of like an Elvis Presley at times.
Yes, that's exactly what I got from this.
And it feels just so genuine as well. Like, this is a lot of people dismiss Ween as a parody act, for reasons like this, but they're parody with a lot of genuineness and love to what they're parodying.
Kind of like Tenacious D.
The only difference is Tenacious D made too many fucking sex jokes. So they did not go as varied. They did not go as varied as Chocolate and Cheese gets.
Yeah, Spinal Meningitis really fucked me up.
I know, it's definitely not a song that you expect, especially with that very young kid going, "Why do you want to see my spine, mommy? Am I gonna die?"
That's just the whole song.
No, it's got a really good chorus to it as well. "Smile, almighty Jesus, spinal meningitis got me down."
I think you had overhyped this album and revealed a bit too much about it.
I get
Because when I
revealing a
first
bit
listened
too
to it,
much.
I'm like, this isn't that good.
I get revealing too much, overhyped. I don't know. I mean, I still think there's bad moments on this, but I think there were genuine moments that I was like just excited about listening to again.
I think there are genuinely good songs on here.
Yeah.
Like
Baby Bitch.
Baby Bitch is a great song.
Yeah.
I also really like A Tear for Eddie.
A Tear for Eddie seems to be considered one of the best instrumental songs.
It's pretty good. Like, it's just kind of there, but it's just like, all right, this is a really random, different direction, and I'll accept that. But like for like Rise of the Phoenix, like kind of like some of those songs you kind of like ingest or because it's like kind of funny or interesting or something like that. Like, I'm not gonna say like the Ballad of Rage Cage is like a particularly fantastic song, but it's still interesting to listen to, right? Where it's like the songs that I like on that album genuinely are probably like To Be the Best or something like that. Where it's so that one's like short, simple. You understand what it's trying to do. It gets to the point. But a lot of the songs here are genuinely good. Like, it's kind of the thing of like, yeah, Wayne's kind of like a comedy band a little bit. They do weird stuff, but also genuinely good stuff. They mix it up.
So I want to rehash the concept of brown. I don't know if I really went into it when we did the Mollusk. I think I talked about it a bit specifically for the line of Mutilated Lips of everything is turning brown. But the concept of brown is something that is bad, but it's bad with love, so it's good. And there are songs on here which kind of incorporate the essence of brown. Like I Can't Put My Finger on It is one of those. HIV Song is absolutely one of those. You also got like some like weird kind of moments, like Spinal Meningitis. I would also kind of consider brown because it is very like contrasty or like it's very hard to kind of get into it if you're looking for like a very accessible song.
Sure.
Like there are definitely some very accessible tunes off here. Like Voodoo Lady, I think was actually a radio hit. in America. Granted, I don't think it was like #1 or anything, but I think it still made the charts. And then you have other songs on here which are definitely a lot more accessible as well. Baby Bitch, which is kind of very soft and chill. Yeah, it's also probably one of the most serious songs on here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then you follow up with Mr. Would You Please Help My Pony, which is just a joke.
Mm.
Just a Brown kind of song, like you're saying, I think.
It's no joke. I think his lungs fucked up. And I mean,
I will say Essence
go
of
ahead, Juice.
Brown sounds like something I would get after it. I was just gonna make a joke about how Essence of Brown sounds like something I'd get after having bad takeout food.
I think
I'm sure Ween would appreciate that joke.
I think the most Brown
I'm sure
song
they would.
that I've shared with you two though, which wasn't on here, was Push Little Daisies, which is like the perfect example of what a Brown Ween song is. I guess another way of explaining it, and they have sometimes been referred to this with some of the songs, is kind of like outsider music.
Sure.
It's
Yeah, I
granted,
can see that.
Ween's not really an outsider band. They absolutely know what they're doing, but it's that kind of stuff that sounds almost like it's people who have no idea what they're doing, but it's by people who actually do know what they're doing, which is what makes it kind of work a bit more.
Just being really experimental. Like it does make certain songs stand out a lot more. Like where they have Buenas Tardes Amigo between two very Brown songs. Because like Candy and HIV Song are probably among my least favorite on the album, and they surround a song that is probably one of the more interesting ones.
How can you dislike the HIV song with this carnival music as its instrumentation?
Considering that they want to do a gay sailor as like the original like album art theme, I do question their motivations a little bit.
I mean, I wouldn't take it more into Ween just being controversial for the sake of it.
Sure.
That is just kind of what Ween are. Well, not really too controversial, but just like, especially for 90s humor. Because I guess this would have probably also been around the time that the AIDS HIV epidemic was kind of more of a thing than it is today, or like more of a serious news topic than it is today.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that it doesn't exist anymore. That would be wishful thinking.
Yeah.
But Buenas Tardes,
It's on Reagan's corpse.
Buenas Tardes Amigo is just a haunting track, to be honest.
Like the Spanish is worse than anything on Senorita from Tenacious D, but it's also the better song.
No, I don't think the Spanish is that bad in Buenas Tardes Amigo.
It's just
like not perfect.
It's like white boy Spanish. It's like all the phrases you would expect like an American to know.
Gringo Spanish.
Yeah. Cinco de Mayo was on Tuesday. He was the head honcho.
Yeah, no, I get that part, but the actual like story of it, which kind of whole revolves around this kind of sibling rivalry that happens, and he kind of ends up killing his brother and realizing like the trouble that he could be in, and that kind of phones this whole kind of story that this person who looks like his brother. The theory behind that is kind of like it's a satisfaction of killing his brother again. I've seen that theory floated around.
There's that. There's also just like
that he
pawning off the guilt onto somebody else.
It's kind of like
I think.
Yeah, you go first.
I was gonna say I think that song would have hit a little bit better had you not spoiled it.
You beep booped it.
Yeah, beep booped it. Yeah, I guess
that song would have hit a little harder had you not spoiled it.
Yeah, I do agree, and I think I did probably take a bit too much, give you two a bit too much into this album.
Yeah. But it also gives you the keys to just enjoy the song as it unfolds, knowing what's going to happen.
And I think the song still holds up, regardless of that.
I was very excited to hear some King Gizzard on this album.
I can't remember if I actually said there was King Gizzard on this album or not, though, but I don't think I did.
Joppa Road is a very, very King Gizzardy song.
Yeah, I will admit as well that like the second half of this album has like probably my least favorite songs on it. Joppa Road I don't mind, but like Candy, I'll admit, is probably like one of my least favorites off this album. I think where the HIV song shines is that it's a pretty short song on this album, and Candy just goes for a bit too long.
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, it also does have some of my favorite songs on this album as well.
Oh yeah, what Dana was talking about was great. It's a great song.
Yeah.
And then like, I think "Don't Shit Where You Eat's a great example of a fun Brown song for me, at least. It's just a fun little way to end the album, and yeah, I mean, as far as Brown songs go, that might be my favorite one even.
We also haven't really talked one of the other songs, which I think they made a music video for, was "Freedom of '76," which is surprisingly just seems to be a song about Philadelphia mostly.
Has It's Always Sunny used it yet? Probably.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But there's like
Then again, I think the last season I watched of It's Always Sunny was the one where they revealed that Dennis was a father.
That sounds like something that would happen eventually.
Yeah, I haven't gotten up to that far on Always Sunny because they don't release the DVDs here, but they do have it on Amazon Prime, so I should probably catch up on that. But
sorry if I spoiled anything.
Nah, I already knew a lot of the plot lines.
I mean, we already know that Sweet D was a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was also talking about like one of the more serious songs on here, "Baby Bitch," which is this kind of whole song which rehashes some of the topics back on one of their earlier songs, "Birthday Boy," which is all about how he got dumped by his partner on his birthday, and "Baby Bitch" is that same girl who's come back like years later, trying to kind of like either get it back with him or something like that when he's already moved on to another girl as well. And it's this kind of whole very simple story of saying like, "Hey, get the fuck away from me." And I kind of just like how
I can respect that.
I love how there's like kind of no real sympathy to her. Like it will say like, "Yeah, you're beautiful, I guess," which is kind of like I don't know. It's a line that's hard to explain, but it's just like so well written and well said.
Yeah.
It's the whole like, "I guess you are beautiful, but you're just not beautiful to me."
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's very simple yet kind of like hard hitting lyricism in that, which is why "Baby Bitch" is one of the best songs off here.
It just sounds also really nice, and like the "Baby Bitch" does sound like a Brown kind of song just on the title alone, but they managed to make it into like a very heartfelt and interesting kind of tune. I did want to go briefly into some of the behind the scenes stuff that I looked up. I was interested to find that there's like a 33 1/3 book written about this album, which I'm kind of interested in reading because like the right whole book about the making of this album is interesting, I think.
But, this was, I believe, their first like proper studio album.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was.
But they were making this album around the time they were also doing their little collaboration with the Japanese band Boredoms. They did a thing together called Z-Rock Hawaii. They were recording that, I think, literally simultaneously with this. Because I guess Boredoms had previously sampled Ween on their stuff, and then they saw Boredoms and they really like them. So naturally, they got to come together.
I love that. So "Roses Are Free" has been covered by the band Fish 49 times between 1997 and 2019.
There's a chance my father has seen them perform this.
How many times has your father seen Fish live? And also,
times. Don't know.
Has he ever come back with the reddest eyes you've ever seen?
No, he doesn't smoke.
Why was he a Fish fan?
He just likes them jams, man.
I don't know. He says he just likes the instrumentation. He's a deadhead.
It's like being a Grateful Dead fan and not being into mushrooms.
He's not into mushrooms either.
I also think I think Ween is on record as saying they don't like the fact that Fish, like they're not a big fan of like the jam scene like that. So like Fish covering it's like whatever to them.
Oh, Ween! If you've ever seen a Ween live show just on YouTube, Trix, you're just lagging completely here. If you've ever seen a Ween live show on YouTube, they're not a jam band.
Take a deep breath. Try again.
Beep 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 beep.
I was going to say, have you seen the Fish performance where the drummer plays the vacuum cleaner?
No, I have not. Wait, that
I
sounds a lot
might
better.
have to pull that up after the fact. I might have to pull that up after this episode so you can laugh at that.
I was also interested to find that this is in the era where vinyl was obviously in decline. So while there is like a catalog for this in like Electro Records kind of like history, the only place they've actually managed to find a vinyl is it was pressed in New Zealand.
That sounds about right.
So it's
New
out there.
Zealand takes around the same amount of time as we do to realize that we're behind the curve. Now, the only thing that I think Australia and New Zealand, or one of those countries, has been ahead of is getting coronavirus down, and unfortunately, that wasn't Australia.
Give up for Australia, right?
Help us, we're dying.
Not funny. I'm sorry to laugh.
Our government doesn't care. Everyone told our government have a lockdown at 10 cases in the state, and they said, "Nah, we're good." And now we're at 143 cases a day. Fuck.
Yes, I hope you stay safe. You and
I don't
Ash.
leave my house. I'll be fine. Ash leaves her house. She'll be fucked. But she is vaccinated.
Oh, that's good.
Half vaccinated. When will I get vaccinated? I don't know. When will Scott allow me to? Anyway, favorites of this record: Voodoo Lady, Buenos Tardes Amigo, Baby Bitch, Spinal Meningitis, and Take Me Away. I like the HIV song as well. I think it's just like a really good fucking contrast of the Buenos Tardes Amigo. Least favorite, Candy.
Fair enough. I didn't spend enough time as I'd like to, so it's a bit blender for me. I can use that word, but you guys used it for Slaughterhouse, so I feel justified.
Yeah, go ahead.
Favorites for me then. What Dina was talking about: Tear for Eddie, Baby Bitch, and Joppa Road. Least favorites are Mr. Would You Please Help My Pony, Candy, HIV song.
Now, before we go into our final, I will do 2 more reveals here. So, one of them was Saturday Afternoon Car Rides. That would have actually been the Wombats' This Modern Glitch.
Oh wow.
That was an album that was quite a lot played in 2011 during Saturday Afternoon Car Rides. And the next one is Dads at the Scene, which would have been our first kind of foray into the classic Australian hip hop, and that would have been Hilltop Hood's The Hard Road.
And that's not the overdue one, huh? Hilltop Hoods, I feel like you bring up a lot.
It's not in the controversial and overdue. It's gonna start going into guesses what are best album of all time apparently, and controversial and overdue are.
Led Zeppelin 4?
I'm not telling you like what it is until it happens.
Fair.
Feel free to make as
Fair
much
enough.
guesses as you want, but it's not getting said until after we're done of Montreal's Skeletal Lamping.
All right. The one where I'm like, yeah, I personally don't jive with this one the most of the Georgia Fruit stuff, but also revisiting this, it's still a really fucking good album.
Can't help it if it's true.
Yeah, this is the
Don't
best
wanna be a man, just wanna
of
play
Montreal.
with you.
This is
Play with
Montreal's
you.
American Idiot.
Fair enough.
Like, literally in the construction of it, where they were trying to do a bunch of different songs kind of pieced together, like Jesus of Suburbia is kind of...
This came out a year after American Idiot, didn't it?
4 years.
When was it? Shit, was American Idiot... I thought American Idiot was 2007 for some reason.
4.
Wow.
21st Century Breakdown was like 07 or 09 or something.
Yeah, sorry, yep, you're right.
But yeah, like this is an album just continuing our road through the most fertile period of Montreal's history so far. Where
This is the album where I enjoy the most of Montreal songs out of all their albums. I love I'd Engage You. That's actually my favorite of Montreal song. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion or not, but fuck is it catchy.
I think that's
Gallery
an acceptable
Piece,
one. Gallery Piece is great.
Women's Studies Victims was actually
Yeah,
kind
Gallery
of mine,
Piece.
so. Non-Pareil Favor, good songs. And I don't know, Adrian Instance as well was a bit of an odyssey for 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Touch Something's Hollow
I
into an
don't
Ludarian
think I
Instance is my favorite
I have a
moment.
least favorite off this album.
Like that somber piano track into just horns like that, it's a really great moment.
As much as this is my favorite of Montreal, I don't know if I prefer it to chocolate and cheese or not. That's like the thing.
I cannot imagine how this is like on the same level personally. Like to me, this is
I
much
get
better.
that. I get that,
Yeah.
but that's also because like Ween was more popular in Australia than of Montreal was in Australia. I just want to put that out there. So I'm kind of more likely to have grown up with Ween than I was with Montreal. I've never been a giant of Montreal fan. Some of these albums I do enjoy. Like I do think obviously Kevin Barnes in his peak period, I keep forgetting that you can refer to Kevin Barnes as literally any pronoun.
Yes.
It's like the greatest thing. You think you fucked up, but no, Kevin Barnes just comes up from the fucking heavens and says, "No, my child, you have not." I mean, stuff like Hissing Fauna, Skeletal Lamping, and like now see with Sylvia and Briar are fantastic albums. Less said about Your Fun, the better.
I mean,
And
you gotta fuck up every now and then, right?
but here's the thing: I've listened
Yeah.
at this point to probably not every of Montreal album, but almost every of Montreal album. And those three are the only ones I care about. Nothing else really hits me of Montreal. Like 3 albums is still quite a lot of albums to hit you. Don't get me wrong on that. And it's
Yes.
like you grown up with Of Montreal a lot more than I have, and you're attached to Of Montreal
Yes.
a lot more. This isn't even your favorite Of Montreal album,
No.
and you think it's more fantastic than I do. That's just the kind of difference we're in here.
Like,
Don't get me wrong, this is my
Yeah.
favorite of Montreal album. I think it's fantastic. I'm tired at the moment with this and Chocolate and Cheese. Just I think this is more consistent than Chocolate and Cheese. I think Chocolate and Cheese has like higher highs.
yeah, we're not even at my peak favorite of Montreal. That's gonna be whenever we do. It's gonna be the next episode when we do False Priest, or not the next episode, but the next
Yeah,
of
I think the
Montreal cover.
Starfucker remix is better than all the other songs of that album, to be honest.
Oh god, there's so many great moments in False Priest. I want to just talk about them. Like it's how we wrap back around the Janelle Monáe. It's gonna be a great time. But on here, like, there's so many ideas just floating around, and like doing the thing where you do just kind of like changing up the song every 30 seconds, every minute and a half, works really well in Kevin's favor, because it's just like he can do anything. He'll do anything, and it'll sound pretty good generally here.
The album is as colorful as the art is.
The way Saint Exquisites and Confessions start is just like, it's like fascinating. Like it's probably some of Kevin's best singing work. It's like the falsetto, and then it's like it just gets into this like vibey, almost trancey speak singing, and it's just like, all right, we just keep going, and then like all of a sudden, like the last minute's just kind of like a panic attack. I'm hearing voices again, not good. I think the sky is pregnant with maggots. And it's just like, it's just every song's a ride.
I mean, yeah, I agree. There's like, it can definitely make this album hard to get into if you haven't like gotten and listened to any of Montreal song beforehand. But it does work in its favor. I don't think this is like that experimental either. That if you haven't listened to one, it's like, oh, what the fuck are you going through? But it's an album. It's just absolutely a fucking album.
Again, every time we do have Montreal, I always want to point out, like, we've listened to Cherry Peel. This is only 10, 12 years later. Like,
it's also just like funky.
It
as
is a
shit.
much different album.
Like most musicians would never go this far, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like some will, obviously. Some will just stick with Cherry Peel and just evolve from there. Some will, do something very different, and maybe they'll strip down eventually. I think Kevin just does everything. He tries to do different sounds, different styles for every album. And this is like where those things really work out.
Kevin put out an album called The Gay Parade, and they only just got gayer from there, but god damn is it funky.
It's very funky.
Fucking hell. Imagine if Kevin just got gayer and gayer and gayer and gayer to points where it was like Scissor Sisters squared. I think we would have actually seen the greatest album possible.
Anything's possible in this point. We're 25 years into Montreal.
Yeah, shit.
You're 25 years in, and apparently I Feel Safe With You Trash is already returned to form.
Yeah, I actually, I haven't really listened to that album in full, but one song I've been kind of had on rotation, I forget what it's fucking called, but already that one song sounded better than every single part of Your Fun sounded. But again, like Your Fun
I
is
only
just a
heard
bad
like half
album.
of a song off of Your Fun.
If it's like
I heard the one that's like.
oh, you just like cut off, I guess, or you stop talking. One of them.
I stopped talking. I was gonna say, I only heard like half the song that was cribbing the title from what's his fucks, King Crimson.
20th century schizophrenic revengeoid man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got the track listing up here, by the way, in case people think I can actually remember the album that well. It's literally just on
Yeah,
my
you listen to it a lot. It's your favorite album.
it's literally just on my music feed because I still got all the files and stuff in there. But like that was just
Fair enough.
that was an album that just really disappointed me because Peace to All Freaks, the actual like first track of that, was alright. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't like it wasn't gonna get enough interest in me to put it in my songs of 2019 or anything. But it was still an alright lead single. And then it turned out to be the best song on the album by miles.
I mean, if each album is Kevin's attempt to kind of wade through their thoughts and kind of like get everything they can on paper, like that's kind of what they talked about with this one, is just like trying to get everything out and try to make sense of what's going on in the head. Maybe You Are Fun was just kind of like the last vestiges of like their previous identity or something. Then maybe I'm reading too much into it, but like kind of letting go of that stuff, having that midlife crisis album happen finally.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting kind of looking at this with like a queer lens of like, okay, we know where it's going now, so maybe a lot of the stuff actually makes more sense now.
Here's the difference of like edginess between Kevin Barnes' eras and what's good and what's not, and we can do it by Your Fun song title. The bad edginess is Get God's Attention by being an atheist, and then the good Kevin edginess is it's Get God's Attention by being a homosexual. That's the definition of the Kevin Barnes good eras.
I do wonder if there's like a backstory here that only gets hinted at of like being taught to be a very specific way and maybe raised in some kind of like stricter household or something. Because there's a song off Daughter of Cloud when we finally get there that I think raises a lot of interesting questions about like where is all this coming from. But that'll be a couple albums from now. But it does like there's a part in Beware Our Nubile Miscreants where there's a talk about like this guy who like fucks your sister in the elevator in junior year, then sucks off the brother to prove he isn't queer or something like that. I can't remember what the actual lyric is like, but there's like a lot of exploration of that kind of stuff still. That coming back to it now is still interesting to think about. Because if Kevin really is what Kevin has said in interviews and is not like super into drugs or whatever, like I'm very curious where all this lyricism comes from.
Need to be into drugs when you literally are the drugs.
And I think Montreal gets a pass sometimes, like, oh, they're just obtuse and hard to understand, and the lyrics are like really cryptic and all that, and they are. But like, you can, I think, to try to read into them is to have a really interesting academic project, like trying to make sense of it all.
Yeah.
Because this is the same song that then goes into like talking about a guy who would leave you in a K-hole to go play Halo in the other room. And it's like that is a weird video game reference I would never expect from Montreal, like Kevin being a gamer or something like that.
No wonder why he's put out a controversial period because he's a gamer.
Like False Priest as a World of Warcraft obsession mentioned. It's like I wonder if that's really a thing. Kevin really likes shooters and MMOs.
Imagine if Kevin Barnes just put out an album of Call of Duty. Although, seeming as I like the Frat Mouse record, I might actually enjoy that.
You're beep booping at Tricks, we can't hear you.
In before Tricks. I was gonna say in before Tricks has picked a chiptune album next week, and that's why we're getting all these beat poop. It's just her way.
I'm gonna relog.
Yeah, I believe you. This will be the last time we've ever heard of Tricks. Anyway, now that Tricks is back, I don't have like too much to go into this album again. It does. It's not a blender. It is very consistent, but because it has all these like different moments that happen on it, It's also very hard to go like, oh yeah, that happened on this song and that's like the only song which I can like remember how it goes from start to finish, just because I can remember the moments on it, is like I'd Engager. But I've also listened to that song so much.
Yeah.
Do I sound better now?
Yes. Also, I'm pretty
It's a
sure
hard-
I'm pretty sure it's
Okay.
Id Engager.
I don't care. I'm calling it I'd Engage.
Okay.
Yeah,
Reality
it's
can be
id
what I
as in,
want.
like the ego and the id.
Hey, no abbreviations.
You're not Thanos. Fuck off.
But it's an album where it's really hard to listen to individual songs, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Id Engager you can definitely listen to on your own. I think for our Elegant Cast, you can also listen to on your own. We can do it softcore if you want, but I take it both ways. It's a great lyric.
Definitely.
Plastis
Album art is
Wafers.
like beautiful as shit, by the way.
Yes. David
Favorite of
Barnes,
Montreal
Kevin's
album.
brother. Fantastic work as always.
Mm.
Plastis Wavers. Great. Also, like the longest song. You're the only one with whom I would roleplay Oedipus Rex. Like they just lyrics are all over the place. It's like just fascinating just to hear what Kevin can like come up with. Tricks, this is a very horny album. I don't know if you noticed.
But yeah,
What?
bop is a bop. I definitely noticed what a bop is a bop.
Like Gallery Piece is literally like one of the most horny songs I can remember.
Oh yeah, and it is the best song off the album.
I think that is this is I guess this is the good horny then of like this is just what this album is and
Yeah,
it's not,
if
like,
it's not unnecessarily and it just really, really works.
You know when Trix likes a song that's horny, that it's a good song.
Yes.
I got nothing.
Isn't
further
there
to
like
say
a line
about
that's like, I'm gonna shoot 200 loads in you or something?
Yeah,
I
probably.
wanna make you come 200 times a day.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Kevin, take me now.
Or there's also the lyric. There's a sculpture on the hill that's where she queered me up forever.
She's
Just admitting
staring
it
at me.
all this time ago.
Ash is just staring at me
Yeah.
after I said that. I'm just gonna clarify with her for a second. Kevin Barnes says he can make me come 200 times in a day. You would do that too. Not for 200 times a day. Woman, you're missing out.
To be fair, I feel like I'd be raw after like maybe the 50th time.
Look, I want to die on my own terms, and I want to die by nutting.
I'm sure we can arrange that.
So if it's getting to you, nah, not on my watch.
Anyway, I can't wait till when we do False Priest because that'll be like the moment. Like that's still my favorite, just because I think the highs in the album are super super high, and that'll be I think an album we can dissect more song by song because it is much different, and probably the least of Montreal of all of the albums. But
All right.
this is Skeletal Lamping. Also very good. Like Hissing Fauna, it is pretty consistent throughout. Hissing Fauna has the advantage of being about as perfect you can be structurally, but like having this be kind of the American Idiot, like change it up, not hitting a false note pretty much in any of that is very impressive.
Good album.
Yeah.
I don't have a least favorite.
Album
Favorite
good.
Engager.
Favorites?
I don't have a least favorite.
What's your favorite though?
Gallery piece.
My favorites are like For Elegant Cast, Ludarian Instance. Id Engager is also very good, and I have no least favorites. I do want to know what the hell a Ming using is though. 'Cause that's just the song title. But...
Before we do the rankings for next week, I'm going to reveal the last one. I won't reveal the one that we have picked until we do the actual revealings, and I'll do it last. I can guarantee you two haven't picked it though. Are you ready for the one that you didn't pick?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the one that's the best album of all time, apparently, is genuinely my dad's favorite album, and that's Radiohead's OK Computer.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't gonna pick that anytime soon, so I
I know
I think I have a better
Dominic.
chance of winning.
I know Dominic had plans to one day pick OK Computer.
I was gonna pick a Radiohead album at some point, probably. I don't know if it's gonna be OK Computer, but
that's the one you didn't pick.
well, I can't wait to listen to Men at Work, huh?
It's not Men at Work. Don't worry.
But we'll do the rankings first before we get into that. I think Ritz and I will be in agreement. Third is Ty Segall's Slaughterhouse. Second, well, I guess I can't say that because for me, second is Chocolate and Cheese by Ween, and first by far.
I'm gonna
Skeletal
I'm gonna
Lamping.
give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah, Ty Segall 3, 2 Ween, 1 of Montreal.
It's not the same level of
I'm-
2 and 1 that you have, but it's the same order. Yeah, I'll give number 1 to Montreal.
I'm just gonna swap Ty Segall and Ween. Your pick.
Yeah, Trix is 3 Ween, 2 Ty Segall, 1 of Montreal. Is this the first time of Montreal's won the entire week?
Probably.
No, Lousy with Sylvie and Breyer, I think, won.
Yeah, I think that suits. Yeah, you might be right. Anyway, next week, parents' albums. Not albums made by our parents, fortunately.
But albums our parents liked and that may have influenced our musical tastes ourselves. Who knows?
Oh yes, mine definitely has.
When I say what my one is, which I'm going last for the hype, it will no longer be a surprise. And honestly, you probably should be able to guess what it is, and like by the time that I'm up there, or at least what the artist is.
Well,
King Gizzard.
I guess I'll go
I'm not
first.
gonna say. Go ahead.
So growing up with my dad in the car all the time, my dad always threw on classic rock stations. So I have a pretty good idea of what my dad likes generally. I don't really know what my mom likes as much music-wise. So I've picked the one vinyl I have from her that has her name on it. And that is the album Hair of the Dog by Nazareth.
All right. I'm going to be doing one of my father's favorite albums. It is the solo album by the bass player of the band Yes. It is Chris Squire's Fish Out of Water.
Alright, so do either of you want to guess what the artist is just before I finally reveal it?
Michael Jackson.
King Gizzard or
It's not King Gizzard, and it's not Michael Jackson. It is something I have picked before on this podcast though.
Sticky Fingers?
No, it's a controversial act and something that is overdue because I haven't picked them since the very first episode of this podcast. That's right. We're going back to Tism, baby.
Oh, damn.
We're doing great trucking songs of the Renaissance. This is a band that probably one of
that
the
is a
first
great album title.
one of the first bands that I think me and my dad kind of agreed on. I obviously got into them a lot later after they were pretty much after they were finished as a band, but when my dad heard me listening to them, he just like pretty much went full into detail about the whole discography of Tism. He actually went to quite a lot of their early live shows as well, and actually
cool.
owned the original vinyls and stuff of these albums, or like the original recordings of them.
That's cool.
That had the original lyrics to them. Like you won't be able to find a streaming version of Saturday Night Palsy on Spotify that uses the original lyrics. They now go I want to shove a red hot poker through the eye. It actually used to be I want to shoot heroin through the eye.
Ah.
There is some controversy that's definitely going to be talked about next week, but we'll get to that then. Until then, though, I have been Ritalin/Callum. You can catch me on my website, ritalin4kids.github.io. I also have a YouTube channel. I'm not going to go into the same spiel as I did last week.
You didn't set up that Google Voice?
Oh, fuck no. Fuck no.
To recap, so we're doing Nazareth's Hair of a Dog, Chris Squire's Fish Out of Water, and Tism's Great Trucking Songs of the Renaissance. This might be the situation where we do 2 Tism albums in a year still. Who knows? We'll see.
We'll see.
But I'm Dominic. You can catch me online on Twitter at DACICHOCKI. That's DA but I never say it like that because who can spell Chakotay, really? You can also find me at tiltingwindmillstudios.com, where I've written a lot of my stuff in the past. Read a bunch of video game opinions there. I have a YouTube channel, not really worth checking out. There's some just game clips that I like. But yeah, you can also follow Dissonant Waves on Twitter at Dissonant Waves on Twitter. Then our website, dissonantwaves.space. We're on YouTube, probably where you're listening to this. But feel free to give us a like and subscribe and, give us some views. We don't really get views, so.
I have been Trix. You can catch me on Twitter at Procrastronaut and Procrastrobot. Both of those have an underscore at the end of it. Like procrastinating astronaut and then just like a bot, but replace not with bot. And yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for us then.
Catch you next time.
Indeed.
Yeah, let's enjoy this classic rock episode, I guess. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah.